Hey everybody, welcome to the Apex Performance Podcast. My name is Ryan. This is episode 2, and it's the 8th of August 2020. It's a Saturday here, just afternoon. I'm just relaxing, bit of housework, bit of watch TV, plan out uh, what I need to do over the rest of the weekend. Smashed a lot of that stuff out, but a lot on at the moment. Had a great week in terms of exercise. On Wednesday, went out for a 10k hike. Went up to the radio station, the More FM radio station, just in Manawatu here. It's just at the bottom of the ranges, and it's a pretty big hike. I'll bring it up now. 1 second. It's a pretty big hike. I think this one goes to for. So this one was 10.9 kilometers with a total time of 3 hours moving, and the elevation was 871 meters. It'd really be cool to figure out the calories I burnt on that, but unfortunately, I haven't got round to buying my Garmin smartwatch. I'd actually be interested to see what happened. I haven't followed it much after hearing about it, but I think Garmin had a bit of a security issue. Um, Again, I only just seen a couple people talking about that. Don't know how serious it is. Some people were just talking about buying stocks for Garmin, but I was just more interested about how safe your information is. From the research I've done on those Garmin products, they're absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing. You know, they give you your VO2 max, how long you've been working out. They have exercise programs there for people who are probably a little bit open. It's just a great way to kind of record your data. I, to be honest, I really do want one. It's just at the moment I'm not willing to spend that money yet. I was, but at the moment with things going on, things how they are, I'm sure I'll be able to find a solid deal on one brand new. And when I do, I'll let you guys know about it. Again, the hike was awesome. I wouldn't recommend it for those who are just beginning in hiking, beginning in physical activity. You know, an 800-meter elevation is a bit of a slog up the ranges. There isn't really, how could you say it? There isn't really, there isn't really any tracks or steps there for anybody. This is a dock track that probably doesn't get maintained as much as say something is like the Gorge Walk, you know, where there's steps and they've like put little gravel down and they're supporting the areas. This is, you know, for those who are probably interested in getting into the backcountry, getting out into a bit of nature. And again, you've got to be very careful, you know, up in these ranges as well. The weather can change pretty dramatically. Further up the ranges, I know over winter when I went up to Rotorua, probably about a little over a month ago, you can you'll see snow on top of that. You can get caught out. So again, correct footwear. Bring bring some warm clothes, a windbreaker, maybe some gloves. I know I'm affected by the cold, and my hands they swell. But yeah, this was great getting out. It wasn't as good as I thought the weather would be. Like the weather wasn't as good. Like the next day was better. But I'm really glad I got out. I had a lot of fun on this hike. A lot of hard work, and it's one of those things like when you start because so you with this track, and I'll chuck a link in the description where this track starts for those who are potentially interested. Maybe they're in the area. Maybe they're traveling through. Maybe they do a weekend hike and they drive out of town. I'll put a link in the description. So this hike starts at the Coppermine Loop track, and you basically follow the river or the creek or however you want to call it all the way up to a point where it just says Radio Tower, and you look at the hill that you got to go up, and you're like, really, you want me to walk up there? So there's really two big parts on this hike. So that's the first initial stage when you got to get up there. You start getting back up onto the start making a climb up, and then it balances itself out for a little bit, and then it picks back up again. Yeah, like looking at the numbers here, you're climbing for the first 4 kilometers. The first kilometer is pretty easy. The elevation was only 46 meters, and then second kilometer you got about nearly 200 meters elevation. Third kilometer 100 meters. Fourth kilometer you've got 219, and then it drops down, and then it evens out again, and then you're on your way back down on the way back. Take some food, take some snacks, trail mix, bit of chocolate, water. I personally, like, because I've been on this hike before, I really like to take a bit of Powerade with me just to just replenish those electrolytes. I had a 12 kg pack on the back, and it's a bit of a grind getting up there. I don't have to have a 12 kg pack, but it's good exercise. I didn't have to do leg day on Wednesday. Let's just put it that way. And then the next day, I did a 5 kilometer, a 3.9 kilometer run. It was a really good run. I wanted to push myself a little bit further, just to try get that respiratory system working a little bit harder. Oh, there's my phone. I better put it on silent. Here we go. Yeah, I wanted to push myself a bit because we do get comfortable in the pace that we set. We do get comfortable with our exercises, whether that's with aerobic exercise, um, whether that's with lifting weights. We can find ourselves becoming comfortable. And so, in this particular run on Thursday, there was no run on Friday. I did back day, but on this particular run, it was okay. I'm going to push myself a little bit harder. I want to see if I can get any, in Strava they do medals, so they tell you if you've done a best effort or etc. It was great. I got 4 best top results, or against myself. That was the best 2 mile effort, best 1 mile effort, best 1K, and best half mile. Really stoked about that. And the really cool thing about this is that a lot of that those best efforts came towards the end of the run. So when we do aerobic exercise, that takes a little bit of time for our body to change over into the energy systems it uses. So one of the reasons why oxygen in the heart is so important during, say, cardio is because as you breathe in the oxygen, it goes into your lungs and gets transferred to the blood system, where at what they call gas diffusion. So basically what it does is that when the blood is cycling through the body to the muscles, supplying it with, say, nutrients, it takes out the carbon dioxide, takes out all the bad waste, and that's how you exhale. And then when you inhale, you put the oxygen and the nutrients then travel through the bloodstream to the muscles. So the aerobic system uses oxygen to produce energy. It needs the oxygen in order to break the energy down so the body can work. This is one of the reasons why the delivery method and and being able to consume enough oxygen is really important. It's why you may find that a lot of the times, maybe when you start running, that it's probably not your muscles that may be fatiguing, depending on what level you are. It may actually just be your respiratory system. It's failing because it's trying its best to bring in the oxygen to create the energy, whereas your muscles might not actually be fatigued. Your muscles do get fatigued, by the way. I'm not going to lie about that. But setting a pace is really important, and that's one of the things I really wanted to talk about today. I was going to talk a little bit about the benefits from aerobic exercise, so your cardio, your running, the psychological benefits. But I think I'm going to write my notes down for that and just be a little bit more strict on the information that I share. Just be a little bit more concise. I had notes planned. I was going to do this podcast yesterday, but for some reason, I don't know what's up with Microsoft, but they wanted to update the system twice. So they updated it once. I was like, cool, it's got an update. Updated, did my notes, updated again by itself, and then it's. I should really just make that manual, or give me a notification. But yeah, it took away all my notes because I always seem to forget to save these files. I just open a Word document, start typing my notes, and yeah, and the rest is history. So getting into this pace, particularly if you're looking at starting at running, walking, hiking, is where you're going to find your most progress over the long term. So what is pace? How do I describe pace? What do I believe pace is? So pace, so for example, to describe pace, if I ran 15, say I ran 15 kilometers. No, let's start that again. If I ran 3 kilometers and it took me 15 minutes, it would be 5 minutes per kilometer. That's my pace. So your pace is the average effort over the entire run. So on my 10k last 10k run, let's have a look at my pace here. So no, not that page. Last 10k. Oh, actually, we'll look at no. Where am I at? That's August, July. 8, 3, 3, 3, 11. Here we go. So my pace was 5 minutes and 58 seconds for 11 kilometers. So that worked out off 11.09 kilometers. So that worked out to be 1 hour and 6 minutes. And I also got a best effort for my 10k, which is an hour and 4 seconds. So pace pretty much describes the overall effort you've put in my opinion anyway. And so when you start running, say when I started running, say I was running 3 kilometers, at first one of the biggest issues I was like, oh, let's just smash it out as fast as I can. And what I found I was doing is I would blast, become fatigued, slow down, blast again, fatigue, and then what I was actually finding is a lot of my runs were becoming a lot slower. So overall, despite that I may put in a mean amount of effort, overall I wasn't, there wasn't a return on the investment I was putting into my run. So I had to go back to the drawing board and I had to think, well, so what we understand about aerobic exercise is that it is exercise that is continuous movement that is longer than 2 minutes in duration. So for me, the way I plan this is like, how do I get the maximum amount of effort spread out over the period of the run, whether that's the duration, as in an hour, 2 hours, 30 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever you so please, or is it, the length, the duration and the length of it. So like is it a 10k run, is it a 5k run, is it a 1k run? How can I exert the most amount of energy over that period of time? Now, there's other problems that come into that after a while. When you become accustomed to the work that you're doing, you become familiar, you can become a little bit more comfortable. That is why, as I mentioned on Thursday, I wanted to push myself a little bit more on my run. Thankfully, the results showed themselves. Again, this is why we use apps like Strava, so you can keep looking at the progress. I looked at that and I was wrapped, because when I was doing that run, I'd done the hike the day before, and I blasted off, and I was, I could feel my lungs, working. The feeling when you're working really hard and you're short of breath. It was great. I felt really good afterwards. At the time, I felt like shit, but you do have to start, building some of that mental resilience and that mental toughness. Telling yourself, well, I was telling myself on that run, I've already run half the run feeling like this. What is the other half really going to do to me? Now, for some people, depending on your health situation, that could be a little bit dangerous. And this is one of the reasons why we're bringing up pace. So I decided, let's try put in the maximum amount of effort spread out during the duration of the run. Now, there's times where you'll find yourself having to slow down. I experienced that. I think most people experience that. They realize, oh, maybe I put in a bit too, was working a little bit too hard. But this is where you start trying to manage yourself during the run. So you're really thinking about, okay, can I work a little bit harder? How was my breathing? Because this is a big one, and I see a lot of people be affected by it. Maybe they struggle to breathe through their nose or out through their mouth, or they feel like they can only breathe in through the mouth. Really, you want to be in through the nose and then out through the mouth. But I'm not too sure at this stage on how we can fix those for those out there who do struggle with that. I have heard breathing techniques do help a lot. But again, I'd have to look into that before I could give you guys, my thoughts on it. The information is out there, and it actually helps a lot of people, not just with like running, but breathing techniques, helping like relieving stress or lowering your blood pressure. Just doing small things to actually encourage and just help with your health. Every small thing that you can do, can make a big difference. There's that thing called the Pareto principle, where it was like the 80-20 principle, where it's like 20% of the effort creates 80% of the results. So it's about finding your 20% that can, build those results. Again, you could come see us here at Apex Performance. We can help you out with that. We will be having pricing and packages available on the website hopefully by the end of next week. So what date is it now? So we've got the 8th. So hopefully around the 16th of next month, we'll have everything set up. You can book appointments. There'll be consultations. Again, I can't really go into too much about that. I will mention that don't expect the pricing to be cheap. It will be priced based on the value that I do provide. Again, it's your choice if you want to deal with me one on one. Have an exercise professional that cares about you, that understands your needs. Again, that's an option. So setting the pace, back to the pace point, setting the pace is really important. So what I was telling my girlfriend, when she'd be out running, it was like, stop focusing on trying to catch up to me. Focus on putting in the best amount of effort you can, so you're working hard, because that's how you make those improvements to the respiratory system, so your lungs, being able to bring that gas in, be able to exchange that gas into the blood system, to be able to supply the muscles with energy, but also being able to remove the waste out. So you focus on not trying to finish it as fast as possible, but ensuring that the effort you put in for the entirety of the run or the walk or the hike is consistent. Now on like a hike that I went on the weekend, there was times I had to take a break. It was getting pretty hard. I'd stop, take a breath, reevaluate where I'm at. But on a thing like a run, I would say to my girlfriend, instead of worrying about stopping to take a breath, adjust your pace, adjust the speed, adjust the effort that you're putting in until you can find that middle ground. So if you're not working hard enough, you're obviously not going to feel it in your respiratory and your cardiovascular system. You're not going to feel it in your muscles, and you certainly know that you're not putting in enough effort. But then on the flip side, you could be overworking, so you feel like you're short of breath, that you're running out of energy, you can't concentrate, you just feel like a complete mess. So that's where you start making those adjustments. Maybe you have to pick up the pace, or maybe you have to drop the effort that you're putting in just so that it's consistent all the way through. Now, how does this help you? Well, for me, I know it helped me that once I started to focus on that pace and a consistent level of energy throughout, my runs just became better. My breathing, so cycling in and out of the oxygen and carbon dioxide, improved. For me, it was like by the 6th week mark, because these things, most adaptations within the body generally happen between the 4 to 6 week mark. So my muscles were actually, after a while, were capable of experiencing, of handling the runs that I was putting it through. But then it was the respiratory system and the cardiovascular system that was really struggling. But at that 6 week mark, once I started to get down pat of the effort and the pace and breathing, so you get into this rhythm. It is pretty much like a dance. For myself, I like listening to drum and bass, and so you got 174 beats per minute. You eventually find in a bit of a rhythm. It's like boom, tsh, boom, tsh, boom, tsh. You eventually get into a rhythm, and your breathing becomes a part of that. So pace is really important. If you were to take away anything from anything I'm saying at the moment about running, setting the pace is important, because you don't want to do a 5K run and then conk out at 2. Maybe if you do conk out at 2, maybe you need to start looking at let's update the run to 3 kilometers, and so you conk out at 2, and then it's like, okay, well, I know not to put in as much energy, or much effort. Not to say you're not working hard, but you really want to spread that across. I feel like I'm repeating myself here, but I really want to get the message across that you really want to spread your effort right across, and then figure out ways or areas where you can up that. So on my 10K run, there's a point where it's not a very steep hill, but you're going down a hill. You can feel that the energy that you're exerting has become, you don't require as much. That's when you could possibly feel like you could take a break, or maybe you just jot it down a notch and just keep going. Again, it's better to keep moving than to stop completely, because we know that the longer you spend out there, the better results you're going to get. Now, for those that maybe are walking, you may, again, like the pace is something where, again, work within your comforts, but work in a way where you feel like your body is actually having a hard time. I know even for walkers out there, people that may be struggling with weight issues, that there is other aspects of it. You know, your bones can hurt, joints can hurt. You might get back from the walk, with sore feet. Maybe you suffer from, you've got flat feet. These are things that do improve over time. Again, it's about taking just being a little bit smart about it. And this is why I encourage you guys to jump into the Facebook event and ask questions. Hey, my feet are getting sore. Hey, I'm finding ways to struggle to breathe. Hey, when should I hydrate? How much should I hydrate afterwards? What foods could I be eating to help me get better at this? Again, drop those in the questions in the event page. Even if you're uncomfortable about sharing your progress, maybe you are worried, and I get that. You get a little bit worried. Maybe if someone else does better than me, just ask the questions, and you don't have to be popping. You don't have to be popping your runs or your times. And it'd be good if you could. It means we could have a bit of a discussion. Maybe you'll find other people that are the same similar um, with a similar kind of ability. But again, just ask those questions. There's no such thing as a stupid question. They say that, but there's plenty of stupid bloody questions out there. But questions about running, I don't think are stupid, and that's the point I'm making. Yeah, so other than that, no, there hasn't really been much going on. My training's been quite good. I'm re-looking at what I'm doing in terms of exercise at the moment. For my personal, more so on weight training, just seeing if I can push myself a little bit further. I do feel like even though I do these runs and I still feel like knackered and stuff afterwards, part of me feels like I could still do more. But then you've got to balance out. Well, is my muscles getting enough time to recover, to create adaptations, to repair any muscle fibers, to repair any damage that it's experienced before I go back and hit it again. Now, the studies in that show it's 48 hours. It takes for a muscle to redevelop, or no, to go through that repairing phase. And again, it's just about training smart and finding that balance. It is a little bit hard for me because I really do love going to the gym. I do really love working out and exercise. So when there's days where I'm actually like, okay, I'll have a rest day today, it's really hard. Really, really hard. So I end up going for a walk or trying to stay active, but I really want to give my muscles time. The more I read about the literature, the more I want to see how accurate it is and how it affects me and how it could affect you as well. So, like for instance, when I seen this running information about how much it helps your heart and your lungs and your mental well-being and a great way to lose weight, then yeah, it was a little bit attractive to me to kind of take up, to take it on. It's like for me, I look at something when I read about it or see it or hear people talking about it. It's like, okay, well, one, do I believe it? And two, can I do the test myself to see if it works? Now, I seen a video last night from Joe Rogan. Someone just put it up on YouTube. It was just a pretty much, a screen record of what he was talking about. But I think at the beginning of the year, he went on a carnivore diet and he lost 12 pounds. And he reckons he's lost all his love handles, etc. And feels great, has heaps of energy, helped him with autoimmune disorders that he has. Can't remember which one it was. But yeah, he noticed some improvements. Now, I've heard a little bit that's 5 kgs. 5 kgs is still a lot. I reckon I could probably lose a nice little 5 kgs. So I'm going to probably look a little bit more into this carnivore diet. I don't believe in fad diets. And I'm not saying the carnivore diet or keto diet or any of these other diets are fads. I think they're great and probably work for particular types of people. But I also think, it's important to kind of try things and see if it works. And like Joe said in the video, like this probably wouldn't be something he would do all the time. And personally, that's what I really agree with him there. I like food, um, and exercise. For me, isn't just about looking good. It's about feeling good and being able to enjoy things in life without so much making them become a part of you. And I understand many people may struggle with that at the moment, but keep tuning into the podcast and we'll help you out. So pace, okay, back to it. Pace, excuse me. So just to recap, we want to really focus on pace at the moment. For those of you that are starting out, focus on putting the same amount of energy throughout the whole run, looking for those points where your body is really working. And again, if you're someone that suffers from particularly like cardiac problems, please see a doctor before you start doing this. Walking may be a completely different story. Maybe a light jog, I don't know. But heart problems, cardiac problems, please see your doctor, find out what you can do first. Last thing I need to hear is someone, just thinking that they can do everything. They miss the days of old where they could, chuck on a pack and go hunting for, a week out in the bush. Your body does, your body doesn't, yeah, your body can be really affected, by some bad training decisions. It's what you hear about, like guys in. It's like I think what ACC was saying, like the majority of gym injuries that ACC, how do you say it? Tries to sort out. It's dudes over 45. Maybe they've broken up with their wife, or they've got, I don't know if it's a midlife crisis. I'd like to say 40s is midlife now. You know, and they get back in the gym. They think they can curl 20, 25 kilos, and you see them. They're swinging it about. They're swinging it about. The arms not even moving. They're not. Doesn't even look like they're getting a full contraction. Don't be silly when you train, honestly, guys. So take the necessary precautions to make sure that your health and well-being, you know where you stand before you start maybe pushing yourself through exercise. I'm also, by the way, speaking of the people with heart conditions, hopefully I am. One of the things I really want to look at is trying to speak to maybe people with knowledge about cardiac health, maybe doctors, maybe cardiac specialists, and just asking about the effects of exercise on the heart, and then particularly if people have hereditary issues, heart issues, how does exercise now affect that? Now, the reason why I bring that up is because I've heard some people, with heart conditions, and I know that the aerobic system helps promote heart health. But then when you speak to these people and ask them, what, for me, I'm curious because I want to know what their body was like prior to that. It's like, are you active? And, are you physically active? And a lot of times, but the guys will say, yeah, I was active. I was working all day, blah blah blah. Okay, so okay, so you say you're active, but is that necessarily the correct type of activity? And then it also comes into things like, what were you eating? You think of like, the tradie diet. Yeah, well, the tradie diet's like Vienna pie, sausage roll, those things that high cholesterol doesn't do well inside the heart. It starts blocking up those pathways. So hopefully, it's finding someone. If even if they want to do it anonymously, it'd be great to speak to someone just to kind of understand a little bit more out there, and maybe hopefully, maybe we can get some good advice from people, and we start looking after ourselves and have better quality of life. Anyway, I feel like I've gone on a bit of a ramble here for episode 2, but again, yeah, work on that pace, guys. Think about how much effort you're exerting over that whole thing, and make sure that respiratory, cardiac, and muscles are working throughout, because that's what you're really aiming for. Just like on Thursday when I did my run, really aiming for those, just where you feel like crap. Anyway, again, guys, if you haven't signed up to the event, this will be happening every month. 100K Club. Go to our Facebook page, Apex Performance. Oh, sorry, Facebook page, facebook.com Apex Performance NZ, or go over to our website, apexperformance.xyz, and and find it from there. Again, thank you guys. I hope you guys are going to have a great weekend. You're having fun out there. You're staying active. You're staying fit, and enjoying a bit of food. Enjoy a little bit of cheese now and again. Enjoy a little bit of wine, a little bit of whiskey. what do they say? Everything in moderation, including moderation. Yeah. Anyway, take care, guys. We'll see you in the next episode. Peace. Peace.